Hi everybody, it's Becky with Light Keys Energy. Welcome to tonight's restorative flow. For tonight's class, what you need is 2 throw-size blankets, 2 yoga blocks or two big books, and either or chair or a wall to close in legs up the wall. But please remember, if legs up the wall is not your jam, Savasana is always open to you. We're going to go ahead and get started. Coming into Sukhasana, heels in line with the groin. Starting to rock side to side, feeling those sit bones connect to the earth beneath you. Coming into just a little bit of stillness here. Bringing the shoulders up to the ears and waterfalling the shoulder blades down the back. And starting to imagine there's a string on the top of your head pulling you just a little bit taller. Closing the eyes if that feels safe, and if that doesn't feel safe, lowering the gaze down to the ground. Taking some deep breaths here. Noticing how it feels to breathe tonight. Where does that air want to go? Where does that air not want to go? And then if it feels comfortable for your body, maybe start to breathe in through your nose for a 5 count. Then exhale out through the mouth like you're breathing through a straw for a 7 count. Inhale 5. Exhale 7. Few more. Letting that breath come back to a slow breath pattern. Bringing the hands to heart center, pressing the thumbs into the sternum. Take just a moment to set a sankalpa or an intention for today's practice. This is your practice, make it personal. Exhale, release the hands to the knees and flutter the eyes open. Dropping the chin to the chest. Inhale the ear to one shoulder. Exhale, chin to chest. Inhale, ear to opposite shoulder. Exhale, chin to chest. Continue with this. Let your breath start to carry you here. When the ear finds one shoulder, go ahead and leave it there. Bring that same arm up and over, adding just a little bit of pressure here. Then walk your opposite arm away from the body, lengthening the scalenes, lengthening those neck muscles. Taking some deep breaths here. And walking the hand behind the body just a little bit more. Inhale, lift up, switching sides, bringing the ear to the opposite shoulder. Bring that same arm up and over, adding just a little bit of pressure. And walk the opposite hand away from the body. Breathing in here. walking the hand behind the body just a little bit. Inhale, lift up. We're going to draw the chin over towards the shoulder, and then lift that chin up towards the ceiling for a move I've nicknamed the snooty yogi. Exhale, come back to center. Switching sides, drawing the chin to the opposite shoulder, and lifting that chin up towards the ceiling. Snooty yogi, opposite side. Exhale, come back to center. We're going to interlace the fingers and bring the fingers back behind the occipital. Elbows open up wide. Keeping a straight spine here, we're going to drop the chin down to the chest and add just a little bit of pressure on the back of the head. You should start to feel a stretch from the occipital all the way down to the shoulder blades. Taking some slow, deep breaths here. And keeping that pressure on the back of the head. Go ahead and round the back, looking down at the belly button. Finding that stretch all the way through the lumbar area. Inhale, lift up, go ahead and release and roll out the shoulders. So our very first pose tonight is a supported balasana, a supported child's pose. So we're going to make our own little bolsters, and I like to do that by taking 2 blankets and folding them together. I also have this princess and pea thing that happens, so I also like to roll the fringe up into the middle. And you'll make a little burrito that's about that size. And you'll bring your burrito lengthwise down the mat. The toes will come together and those knees will open up nice and wide. Then we'll walk forward, placing the belly down onto the bolster and turn the cheek to either side. We're going to hold this pose for about 5 minutes, so make sure you're nice and comfortable here. After about 2 minutes or so, you'll hear my voice as I suggest we switch cheeks. Closing the eyes and finding some relaxation here. It might feel good to turn your cheek to the other side. Noticing what that breath is doing. If you find that your mind is really racing tonight, maybe start to bring your awareness to where the ground is supporting your body. Where are you receiving support tonight? Noticing where those hands touch the ground, arms. Just notice. Slowly deepen your breath. Bring the hands back underneath your shoulders. Push yourself back up into a hero's pose. The next posture we're going to come into, it's a reclined spinal twist. So we're actually going to leave the bolster just like it is. You'll come on to your side here. So I'm kind of leaning up on the side of my hip, and my hip is touching the bolster, and that's kind of the important part here. You want that hip to touch. The knees can be stacked. I prefer them staggered. Kind of depends on what's comfortable for you. But whatever works for your foundation, we're going to lift up through the spine, twist over the bolster, and place the belly down onto the bolster and allow the head to turn to whichever side is more comfortable. Letting this low back open up, letting it relax, taking some deep breaths here. And we're going to be in this posture for about 5 minutes on each side. So as we start to sink into relaxation, I wanted to share something with you for those who are experiencing ruminating thoughts. So this morning I was reading something, you know, those things that we all read when we go through experiences that are bigger than us, looking for wisdom and inspiration. And it was really interesting because the quote that stuck with me all day long said, if you quiet your mind, you can hear a soft voice guiding you. If you quiet your mind, you can hear a soft voice guiding you. We've got like 45 minutes left together. How cool would it be to quiet the mind enough to hear that soft voice tonight? Coming into some deep breaths here. Slowly deepen your breath. Bring the hands back underneath your shoulders and push yourself back up. We're going to come into this reclined spinal twist on the opposite side. So turning the bodies around. Once again, making sure that hip is right up onto the bolster. Checking in with the body, seeing what's comfortable with the legs on this side. Lifting up through the spine, twisting over the bolster. And bringing the belly down onto the blankets. Breathing in. Slowly start to deepen your breath. Bring the hands back underneath your shoulders. Push yourself back up to a seated position. And go ahead and take our little blanket burrito and bring it widthwise across the mat. And then we're going to bring a block and your block, you'll have to play and see what's best for you. It'll either be on the mama bear or the papa bear level. That's totally going to depend on what feels comfortable for your neck. So we'll come into supported sphinx pose. So to do this pose, we'll bring the chest up and over the bolster so the rib cage is resting on the bolster. The toes will point in, the heels will point out to help protect that low back. The forearms rest on the ground with the elbows hugging your bolster. And then the third eye just rests on your block or your book, finding some extension in the neck, some length. We'll be here for about 5 minutes. So take a moment, moosh those hips, moosh, moosh, moosh. Come back to your breath. Slowly deepen the breath. Bring the hands underneath the shoulders, and then we're going to push the hips back to meet the heels, coming into a modified Balasana Child's Pose. Taking 3 deep breaths here. And then walking the hands back towards the body, coming up to a seated position. The next posture we're going to play with is a supported bridge. So we're going to go ahead and come onto our backs, taking everything off the mat. You'll only need your block. And once again, your block has 3 levels: baby bear, mama bear, and papa bear. We're going to hold bridge pose for about 5 minutes. So my guess is most of us are going to be hanging out on the mama bear level. Papa bear gets quite intense when you hold it. So walk those feet back so that the heels are roughly underneath the knees. Put the weight into the heels and lift the hips up, slipping the block or the book right underneath the hips. Take a moment here, walking the shoulder blades down the back, lengthening through the neck, and taking some deep breaths here. Your block or your book should be doing the work for you. So it shouldn't be a big strain on the legs right now. slowly deepen your breath. Putting the weight into the heels, lift your hips up, remove the block, and come back onto your back. Hugging the knees up to the chest, make yourself into a small ball. Maybe start to rock side to side. And then rocking up and down the mat. Come back to a seated position. We're going to bring our blanket burrito back onto the mat. You may want a third blanket for this, you may not. It kind of just depends on what is comfortable for you. We're going to come into a supported Supta Baddha Konasana. So we'll bring our blanket burrito lengthwise down the mat. You'll bring your hips or your back right up to your bolster, that way that your back has support. The soles of the feet come together and the knees open up wide. Now, if that posture feels extremely open and vulnerable, a blanket over the hips is often really makes this pose more comfortable. From here, go ahead and walk the body down, and then opening the arms out wide like a T, coming into Supta Baddha Konasana. Remember, if this is too intense on your hips, that's why we have blocks. We can slip those blocks right underneath the knees, offering the body some support. These poses really should feel like you could stay here all day. You shouldn't feel like you have to work for this relaxation. Slowly deepen your breath. Bending both knees, planting the soles of the feet onto the ground. Rolling over onto one side, coming off your burrito. Pushing the burrito off the mat. Take a moment, hug the knees back to the chest. Maybe rock side to side. And then making your way back to a seated position. We're going to come into our final resting pose. If Savasana is totally your jam, please feel free to come into Savasana. Maybe slip your bolster under your knees to add a little bit of support to the low back. Maybe come into legs up the wall or legs up the chair. I like to put a blanket on the chair if I'm doing legs up the chair, and then to do legs up the wall or legs up the chair. I prefer to fold the blanket like so just one blanket. This helps make this pose safer for pregnancy. It also helps make it safer if you have lower back issues. It also is just way more opening for the back this way. With this little blanket folded up here, you'll come onto your hip and bring your booty right up onto the wall. From here, slip up onto your back with the legs up the wall or up the chair. Coming flat onto the back. So if I was using a wall, my booty at the back, the legs would be resting on the wall, my heels, like so. And then take a moment, walk the shoulder blades down the back. And start to take some deep breaths here. Check in. See if you can make yourself 10% more comfortable. And bringing the awareness back to the breath. Slowly start to deepen your breath and start to wiggle your fingers and toes. You're in legs up the walls or legs up the chairs. Bend the knees, slip the feet down the wall. If you're in Savasana, go ahead and bend both knees. Everybody brings the arms up and over the body for full body stretch. Rolling over onto one side. Pausing here for just a moment. Bringing to mind one thing that you love about yourself. One thing that you're grateful for right now. And offering yourself just a moment of gratitude for taking time to practice tonight. And when you are ready, and only when you're ready, push yourself up to a seated position with hands at heart center. And I leave you with this quote by A.N. Gardner. And it says, being still does not mean don't move. It means move in peace. I'm so grateful for the opportunity to practice with each and every one of you. I hope you leave this practice feeling just a skosh better than when we started. The light in me so very much honors the light in you. Namaste. If you find value in this offering, please share this Zoom link with your friends and family. We do it every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. If you're looking for different forms of yoga and you want to join our online studio, you can find me on Patreon. And if you're looking for specific content, shoot me a DM. I love to create inspired content. In the meantime, be kind to yourself and be kind to others.